Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Mark. Uh, I'm exposing it all today. Those of you that don't know me personally, haven't been on this for a long time, but you only see what I can show you, but nobody really knows the hidden battles or the struggles or the different things. And there's lots of people in all walks of life. In the world, it's unfair. It's if we all stuck together as humanity and became as one and supported one another and lifted everyone up, and this world would be a different place. On one hand, you got millionaires or people who are sitting on thousands and thousands upon thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then on this hand, you got a guy that's homeless, struggling, maybe dealing with some issues, a drug addict or whatever. The truth is, the only thing that's ever going to happen for you in this life is what you can do for yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, and if you can't do it for yourself, nobody's really going to help you. And if you do have somebody that's willing to help, take every opportunity that you can in life and embrace it, and don't ever take anything for granted. Because once you burn a bridge in life, it's hard to get it back, and you never know when you'll need someone in your life. Now, recently, just after Christmas time, my car breaks down. Let's backtrack. 5 months ago, I was a different person. I was, involved in different things, and I was working a different job, doing different things, but I was more focused on what I wanted and what would make me happy. And I always used to have something like alcohol and stuff like that. But, that's fine if you can be responsible and maintain a responsible lifestyle and not let something control you. But ultimately, with everybody, it's different with everybody. It depends on you and how you perceive it. But long story short, I got behind on my rent, and over a period of time, over a couple of years, I gotten behind a good bit of money, probably almost $5,000 behind, and then got to the point to where the landlord was knocking at my door once a week. They want their money, so I had to pay them every week. Every week I got paid, got my paycheck, half of it or most of it went to that, trying to get caught up, but I never could. And then it became a cycle. Every week I'm paying the landlord. It got stressful, and I got behind, and then after a certain period of time, they didn't want to deal with me anymore. So now I'm getting evicted. So I got evicted, and the place I'm living in now is my new place. And, shortly before all that happened, in the meantime, I'm dealing with some legal issues. I ended up Ended up in the system, on paper again, I'll be on paper for a long time. And that gave some restrictions to where you cannot, I can't drink at all now. And that's one of the reasons, but I quit before I even got on paper because it was causing issues in my relationship at home. And it would ultimately cost me my place to live because when I drink, I turn into somebody different. I could be two different kinds of people. I could be a happy drunk or I could be a real asshole. And it all depends on what the situation is when I'm drinking. If somebody offends me while I'm drinking, then I turn into somebody that you don't want to see. So after a conflict that I had because of that, I just decided I'm not going to drink anymore. So I quit. So that was about 5 months ago. I quit. And I've been completely sober for 5 months. I haven't drank or smoked anything, and learning to cope with all the different emotions without turning to a substance to uplift my spirit, my moods, and the way I perceive it, the way I perceive things. And normally, if I was smoking herb or something like that, then it would. I tend not to care about a lot of different things when I'm under the influence of that, because it just puts me in a different state of mind where I just want to enjoy myself. I don't want to deal with anything. You procrastinate a little bit more on different things. You tend not to face your problems when you have all these other different distractions in your life. So that brings us back to now. I've been completely sober in the last 4 months, 5 months. I've pretty much been working like a dog, trying to get ahead and get all the money I can. And there's some side work come in, and I managed to save a little bit of money. So I started to get a financial cushion. I was a couple months ahead. So I said, all right, things are going good. Christmas time's all right. And I had a good Christmas. And right after Christmas, my car breaks down. So I didn't worry too much about it at first because I had a couple grand. So I was like, oh, whatever. But, it could be fixable or it might not be fixable. I don't really know. I'm hoping it is, but right now I'm in a situation where I either got to fix it or I don't have a car. But I needed a car quick to go to work because I work all over the place. And, most of my jobs are an hour to 2 hours away from home. And so I had to get a rental real quick. And I've had the rental car since Christmas time, and it's after January. So I've had it for almost 2 weeks now, and it's running about $600 a week just to run that thing. So the little couple grand that I had is gone. It disappeared just because of having a rental car. So I'm down to my last couple $100 now, and had to make a decision. So I don't have anybody in my circle, because my circle's small. It's me and my wife. That's it. My family is pretty much everybody in my family is dead except for my dad And my dad doesn't talk to me. And I mean, throughout my life, he's helped me get on my feet, and showed me a path to take and try to give me advice. But when I grew up, I came from the streets, and I was mixed up in a lot of different things, and I got in trouble in my life, and ended up in prison for about 4 years. And so I used my dad as a home plan. This was 20 years ago. And I got on my feet, and things would go good. And, but, my old habits would stay with me. And I'd say, well, I could party a little bit. I'll just be responsible. Yeah. I'm going to be the one in control. But, if you take it to the extreme, and you put your focus all around one thing in life, it always overtakes you, no matter what. Always got me. And I've been homeless 3 times in my life because of, if I would have, like if I go back and I said, well, if I had listened to my dad and, did things exactly the way he wanted me to and what he was telling me to do, even though it seemed horrible, it was strict and whatever, but I'd have been a lot better off today. I guarantee you that. If I would have started saving money 20 years ago, I'd have a lot of money today. But I if you get that paycheck, boy, and freaking go to town, hit the club at night and go out party, get yourself a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you're good for the week. And then come, by the time you hit next payday, you're already flat broke, and sometimes worried about how you're going to have gas money for the week. So it's a struggle. But since I sobered up, life has hit me hard. I've been dealing with a lot. Like I have, there's 2 things in life that I really value. That is in my household. I have my wife and my cats. My kids are grown up and more responsible than I ever was, that ended up taking a different path. And that's what I hope for, that, my kids were always do better than I did, but I have a large family of cats, and that's the thing, I never was a cat person until about, 3-4 years ago, when a cat that I brought in ended up having kittens. And, the kittens, I never had kittens before, but, they just grabbed my heart, and that's what my heart is focused on. So I figured, well, I have all these cats now. I couldn't get rid of them, and that's part of me, it's as a responsible person would be like, well, you have kittens, free to a good home, whatever. I couldn't do it, and neither could my wife. So we're both kind of the same when it comes to animals. So we've been taking care of them, and it cost about $700 a month to raise my cats. That's what it is now. When they were kittens, it wasn't bad. It didn't take as much food to feed them. They're small. They didn't eat a lot. But now they're all grown, and they're fat, and they're spoiled. So, but the thing is, I can see their heart, and they didn't ask to be here, and they look to me for security. They feel secure with me, so I take care of them. That's my responsibility. But I guess, I mean, if you ask me right now, it's not okay with me, being said a little bit that I did say, but it's not okay. And there's some hope there, and I have one person in my life that's willing to help, and hopefully he can help. We're going to try to get the car fixed and get it back on the road because, I got till this Monday with the rental car and the money's out. So it's a tough spot. And then rent's due. So it's not to mention all the fines and different things that are over my head. And, I got more problems than probably half the people in this world that have to face every day. And I'm not blaming anybody. It's just because of the decisions that I made and the route that I chose to go in life. But it is what it is, and we're going to face it no matter what. No matter how life comes, it's what you're going to face. I mean, whatever you get is what you signed up for. It's just the way of the world. But I, like everybody else, want to live in abundance and have a safe and secure life. But in my household, I'm the only income. My wife is incapable of working. She's a little older than me, but she's been having some issues with different things, and she's not able to work. So I have to maintain as many incomes as I can obtain to make ends meet. But lately, I haven't been getting lucky. So it's get a second job or do whatever I got to do. But when it comes down to it, like who really cares and who really gonna listen? Probably nobody. But it is what it is. I mean, I don't have anybody, so it's guess this is just blowing off some steam. Somebody to talk to, I guess. But whoever's listening, my advice is don't ever be like me. If you have anybody that's going to give you direction, if you have anybody in your life, don't ever burn a bridge. Try to always do the right thing. If you have obligations, just do it. Make like Nike and just do it. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it off. Don't worry about the money in your pocket. If you need more money, work 2 jobs, work 3 jobs, get a side hustle, do whatever you gotta do to survive. It's a cold, hard world out there. But and I'm a spiritual guy. I've had encounters that nobody knows about, and if I told you, just like I've told people different things, and they call it schizophrenia. Oh, he's delusional. He don't know what he's talking about. But only I know what I went through and what I've seen and what God has showed me. And what God is ultimately, his big message to me was this whole world that we live in is just temporary. It isn't made forever. This spinning ball of dirt is not going to stay like this forever. Might have been like it for 1 billion years. But sometime in God's timing, it's going to change. It's going to be something different. And then the good people, the ones that, or maybe everybody, I don't know how God is going to react. But it'll put you on a different earth. But sometime we signed up to be here in this little test called life to see if we're worthy. I don't know. It's just pain is love, It's just whatever you it did, whatever you do with it builds character. It gives you understanding, but always hold your head up. Never give up, no matter how hard it gets. It gets hard. I mean, it's hard for me, real hard. And I'm tired. I'm 42 years old. I'm tired, and it's tough. But keep your head up. Don't give up. It'll get better. It'll only get better. But that old saying, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. But once it gets better and you do get ahead, and don't ever lose that grip. You keep a strong, focused mind. Worry about what's important. Your family, your kids, your wife. I got cats. Worry about the important things in life, and don't give up. But it's been a long, hard road, and in the last 5 months I changed, and I don't ever plan on going back to the way I was. It's just because it's only been a repetitive cycle of the same thing over and over and over again. Just in different ways. I've had times where I was way up, and then times where I was way down. I hit rock bottom, lost everything 3 times, and I gained it back. I have everything I want, but everybody wants a better life, an easier life. They don't want to have to work as hard, And be grateful for what you do have, and keep your head up, and even if you have a lot of problems, don't let them consume you, but deal with them the best you can, one step at a time. But like they say, money is the root to all evil, but money controls the world. If you don't have money, you ain't gonna do too much. But money comes and money goes. And sometimes money's real hard to come by. But grab every opportunity you can in life, whatever it is. If you could make bigger opportunities, you got to do it. And everything you do is a leap of faith, And don't take nothing for granted. But I had a long, hard road. I mean, I don't want to get into my childhood, but it wasn't. I've had good times, and I will say this, that I grew up in a time where abuse, certain what you would consider like some physical abuse today. Well, back when I was growing up, it was acceptable. That's how these old-fashioned parents raised their kids. So when I got in trouble, it was pretty bad. And I wouldn't wish that on nobody. But if you did that to a kid today, you'd go to jail. But And I still love my parents, regardless of, how I was punished, raised, growing up. But, when I was at a young age, I hit the streets, and from there, it just went out of control. And the streets been with me all my life in little ways. When I came up, I still brought the streets with me. So you can't, you know, do something new and bring something old in and expect it to still work out. In your mind, you think you can, but it doesn't always work that way. Life has its twists and turns. But, we'll get through it. If anybody could relate, hit that like, and I appreciate if you subscribe and follow. I'll be posting more about my journey. I'll be talking more about my journey a little bit. I don't want to make it too long, but if anybody could relate, I'm in the middle of the storm right now, but you're gonna see me get out of it. I have confidence that things will work out in the end. But you never know how it's gonna go. That's why God says to not hold on to things too tightly, because in the blink of an eye, He could take it all away from you. You don't know how that's gonna happen. It was just like my car broke down. I didn't think nothing of it. Now a big chain reaction. Now I can't do nothing I wanted to do because I spent all my money in the wrong place. If I'd have made a little bit of a different decision, it might have worked out different. But then again, I don't know. But then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, how am I going to get to work? So I had to do something. It's not like I have somebody, hey, I'll borrow your car or give me a ride. I don't have people like that. I don't have anybody in my life. It's just me, myself, and I. But, you can't rely on anybody but yourself. So it's whatever you can do for yourself. But, somebody's got to help you because, you need people. That's just the bottom line. You need somebody. But it'll get better. It'll get better. Just gotta take it one day at a time. Keep your head up and don't worry too much about it. That's all you think about. That's all you become. And they do say that a life of drunkenness will get you poverty quicker than you could blink your eyes. But you don't always have to have that type of life to fall into poverty. It's tough. But I guess today I'm grateful for what I do have. At least I have a way to get to work for now, and I still have a job. But I'm always looking for more work. The more the merrier. The quicker I can get ahead, that's just what I gotta do. But at the same time, it beats you up. It makes you tired, and But thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one.